Coming up on Golden Image Music, do you have an album in your collection that rocks from the very first track to the last track? Well, we certainly do. And on today's show, we will take it to the next level and introduce the debut albums that rocked from the very first note to the very last. Stay tuned for perfect debut albums on Golden Image Music.
Welcome to Golden Image Music. I'm Larry.
And I'm Todd.
Today, we're going to dive into some of the best debut albums in rock history, where every track is awesome from beginning to end.
That's right, Lair. And we got a killer list to go through. And I just want to let everyone know that there is no way we can possibly cover all the great debut albums that rock end to end. So we would love to hear your suggestions in the comments section below. And then we'll build a channel playlist for everyone to enjoy.
That's true, Todd. And as you know, we're probably going to miss about 100 albums that people are going to criticize us for. But
absolutely,
the first one, nobody can criticize. This is Boston's debut album. This album didn't just introduce us to some of the most polished rock sound of the 70s, but it set the standard for production quality. Tom Scholz's perfectionism paid off big time here. With that first album, first track to last, must listen the whole way through, from More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Foreplay, Long Time, Rock and Roll Band. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I don't think this list would be complete without Van Halen 1, right? Mm-hmm. This is the ultimate debut album, self-titled, totally redefined rock guitar, and thanks to Eddie Van Halen's innovative playing. And I mean, he was a student of Joe Satriani, as was Steve Vai. You know, when I was young as a teenager, this was like something I put on the turntable. And of course, every party would have never been complete without Van Halen 1.
That's a perfect album. Boston is a perfect album. Oh, and this is a perfect album by Meatloaf. This album is larger than life. It's epic. It's theatrical. It's operatic, completely unique. Nobody ever saw anything like this before. Jim Steinman's songwriting with Meatloaf's powerful vocals and theatrical shows live in concert. Truly something just unforgettable. Jim Steinman's style is easy to identify. He also wrote both the songs in the movie Streets of Fire that Ellen Aim and the Attackers did. And you as you see it, you could, oh man, that sounds like something Jim Steinman would write. He also, Jim, had a solo album where when he and Meatloaf split up, he had a tremendous hit song with Rock and Roll Dreams Come True, which was included as a bonus 45 with the album purchase. But him and Meatloaf did get together again after they broke up and produced some great singles, but to me, never a great album again like that first album.
Yeah, so that their debut album was like, that's it, right? I mean, there's like Bat Out of Hell 2, I think, which is okay.
We did a piece about fake bands, and one of the things we were making fun about is they end up, after a while, they don't know what to do. So they do an album with a symphony, with an orchestra, right?
Yes.
Well, Meatloaf did that.
LedZeppelin 1. That's right, LedZeppelin 1. Now, look, another debut album. Can't be beat. We know that Jimmy Page was in a lot of other bands, right, working up to Led Zeppelin, as was John Bonham and Robert Plant. But here was the interesting thing. This album, came in with a lot of criticism. All of the critics didn't think that it would do very well.
The critics didn't like when they first came out. But it's funny how as time goes by and you look back at them, they can become classics. Now, before we go any further, I want to take a quick moment to ask everybody, please, if you're watching this, just subscribe to the channel.
That's right. 90% of the viewers out there that watch our videos are not subscribed. So subscribing is your way of supporting us and letting YouTube know that you like our videos.
This is Silvertide. This is their debut album, Show and Tell. If you're a fan of 70s, Aerosmith, AC/DC, and the like, I'm telling you, get this album, put it in, crank the volume up as loud as you can bear it, and listen to Ain't Coming Home, and then the rest of this album.
Are you a some kind of champion for the band or what, Lair?
Well, look, there's a part of me, they're from Philly, I'm from Philly, but it's just that everybody that I've asked to listen to this CD has become a Silvertide fan.
Are you experienced, Lair?
Well, I'm too experienced. I'm 63 years old experienced.
Oh, you didn't have to tell anybody. Yeah. So look, this record here, I have several copies of this, right? I have a UK pressing. I have this one. I have a Japanese pressing, mono. It's real rare. Huge Jimi Hendrix collector, but this debut album was the first album that I purchased when I had to have been 8. And my mother had quite a collection of records. And personally, I liked her records. I thought they were great. That was a great collection. But once I bought this for 25 cents at St. Vincent de Paul, it changed the world. I mean, songs like Wind Cries Mary and Third Stone from the Sun, and then, Breaking In for Love or Confusion.
It's a good thing I didn't listen to what my parents listened to, because they were listening to the Kingsmen and they were listening to the Mummers. The Mummers.
The Mummers.
Oh my God. They had a triple album set of the Mummers music, and it made me crazy. I think that's what steered me to this music. Anyway.
All right, Lair, what do you got? Debut album that absolutely rocks end to end.
All right. This is unbelievable. Not only is this a great debut by the group Heart, but I have this on the Nautilus Half Speed Mastered, and boy, does this thing make my stereo sound and sing. This is the album that if I bring somebody over and I want to show off my speakers and my turntable and my amp, I put something like this on, and this shows it off. Now, when Heart came out, to me, they took over the scene, the rock scene, with its raw energy and its melodic moments, how they would contradict each other. But most of all, I think this was a coming out party for the Wilson sisters. Ann Wilson's voice is something that nobody had ever heard from a woman. Her pipes are just amazing. Some of the greatest vocals ever put on record, man, woman, whatever. Magic Man, Crazy on You, Dreamboat Annie, all just samples of what's on this album.
Uh-oh. It's Black Sabbath. Yeah, right? I mean, self-titled, debut album. Every single song on this album rocks. I had it initially on cassette, and I wore the cassette out. I think it broke several times. I had to tape it together, scissors tape, all sorts of craziness. I loved this album. I still love it. Of course, The Wizard and NIB. Every single song on this album is great. And quite frankly, I mean, this has kind of set the stage for heavy metal, right? It was very influential on everybody that's playing heavy metal today. This started it. So I know we have a few honorable mentions. Larry, you want to start it up?
Sure. I'll just mention them real quick. I have the Cars, and the Cars were kind of unique. They had a sound that I normally didn't go for, like a punkish rock, kind of new age kind of sound. But with them specifically as a band, this album was fantastic. I loved it from beginning to end. I still do. And they were one of the few cases where they created other albums, but because their sound evolved, they were still successful, and they came out with some greatest hits albums which stand up. Now, this is a bit of a controversial one. AC/DC, Back in Black.
Okay.
No, it is technically, if you look it up, not their first album, but it is their first album with Mutt Lange producing. He changed their sound dramatically, and Bon Scott had passed away, and Brian Johnson became the singer of the band. He changed it. This is really the first album for AC/DC for many, many, many fans. Technically not the first, but it kind of is. Bad Company, right? Fantastic album. Paul Rodgers, some of the most soulful vocals you'll hear in rock and roll. Mick Ralphs, I think, was their lead guitarist, and they were just a great band. Few of it, Simon Kirke, they came from the band Free. to form Bad Company. Once again, Bad Company had a few really good albums, but this one as a debut, awesome. And then the last one I'm just going to mention real quick, Wynton Marsalis, Black Codes from the Underground. This is an album that took jazz to me and really took some classically trained, some wonderful talent on the trumpet, and said to me that, if this is jazz and this is modern jazz, I think I can dig it. And it really got me to start evaluating other artists, and it really opened up my mind to a lot of new music. His little brother, Branford Marsalis, by the way, is also an incredible talent as a saxophone player and has his own successful career. What do you got for honorable mentions?
Obviously, you know that I am a crazy Rush fan. And look, this isn't the Rush album that with Neil Peart, right? This is John Rutsey, who was their original drummer.
Yeah.
But he absolutely killed on this album, as far as I'm concerned. And if you notice that Neil Peart, when he played songs off of this album, he did a pretty decent job of playing like John Rutsey, which was really great. But Finding My Way, of course, Working Man, working all the way through this album. If you put this on in the middle of the day and play it end to end, you will absolutely love this album. So Rush's debut, great, end to end.
With Rush, I always look at their first album that I listened to as 2112. Where does 2112 fall? Like, was it their second album, their third album, their fourth album compared to this?
It was their fourth. Yeah.
Wow.
So you had Rush, and you had the Rush, right, with John Rutsey. Their first, and then their second album was Fly By Night, and then Caress of Steel. Was their third album, and then their fourth album, 2112, which was the record company was ready to drop them at that point. And I think I brought this up in another video, and it's been discussed before several times, even by the band.
And it's the one that turned me on to the band and really got me to like them too.
So the other honorable mention here, I'm just kind of going into hair metal days. Rat, Out of the Cellar, fantastic album. This entire album is every single song on here. Wow, Morning After, Wanted Man, You're in Trouble, Round and Round. I mean, the guitar playing on this thing is awesome. Like, you may not like hair metal, but if you're in one of those moods, you can put this album on, play it end to end. You'll probably put it away for a year, but every single song on it is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at this
nice
one. Yeah, Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy Osbourne. Again, a little bit of hard rock there, and I'll listen to jazz, I'll listen to country, I'll listen to hard rock, and especially classic rock, as you well know. Yeah. But this album here with Randy Rhoads, debut album, is fantastic. Every single song is great on here. I used to listen to this before I went to school in the morning, and it set the mood for my day. Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz. Check it out. Every song is a winner. And it's a debut. All right. For some final thoughts. Now, Lara, when it comes to debut albums, these are the ones that didn't just make a statement, they made history. Each of these albums is strong from the first note to the last, and they all have stood the test of time.
These albums show that sometimes a band can hit the mark right out of the gate. They set the bar high, they deliver music that continues to rock and resonate with the fans around the world that they have.
Lara, there's another side to that coin, though, right? Some bands delivered incredible debut albums, but then struggled to maintain the momentum. And we know a couple of them. I think you kind of mentioned some of them in here. Think about the Knack, right? Get the Knack? My Sharona, massive hit. The album was actually really good, but the band never replicated that success. What about Boston, Lara?
Isn't that a shame with Boston? Their first album showed so much promise and so much innovation that you just assumed they were going to have a long, successful career. And they did. However, they never really replicated that success. No. It's a reminder that a strong debut is just the beginning. The challenge is to keep evolving and producing music. Some bands can do it and some bands have not.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, there's a lot of great music out there. And as I said at the beginning of the video, it's impossible to cover every amazing debut album in one episode. But instead of going through every one for hours, why don't you tell us in the comments section what we missed. Yeah, we want to hear what you think and what should be on the list. Don't tell us we missed it. We probably did miss it. Tell us what we should put in there. And the best part is I'll put it into the channel playlist so that you can check it out and listen to what you like as well as the stuff that we like.
Let us know what debuts you think we should have included, and we might just feature your suggestion in a future episode.
And certainly subscribe to our channel. It helps us out a lot, keeps us moving in YouTube, and it keeps us bringing some great content to you because we have a lot of great fun stuff coming up, and a lot of it is suggestions from you.